Good morning, my fellow designers and vloggers. Well, today we are off to one of the Regent's Park jobs. Actually, we're probably off to about 3 Regent's Park jobs today. We have some curtains going in. I have the equipment in my bag. Things like curtain rings, things like that. Brackets, we need an extra bracket for this particular role. This is a project which you've actually seen before, which has been one of the ones when we actually were doing the Primrose Hill job, you may well remember. So today we're just putting up some curtains, nice and easy. After that I have to go and have a look at the second Regent's Park job. You may remember that one. I'll put a link up above so you can see that. And then we are off to get some handles for the Reading job. This is for the study. You may remember that some of the handles arrived, but some of them were marble and one of them was broken. So I need to get replacements, and I'd actually rather go in and choose them myself personally rather than come through the post through delivery. After that I have a very important meeting, and that's to do with the Sloane Square job. So this is pretty much meeting number 2, and this will be me going in, speaking to the clients about really the scope of work and just to nail that down. Then I can get them a proposal and we can start work. Quite straightforward, should be an action-packed day. It's drizzling here in London, not very nice, but let's get on with the day. There are a few rules to remember when you're actually hanging curtains, or at least when you're preparing to hang curtains. One of the most important things is make sure that you have the equipment that you need. In this particular case, what you'll need are enough rings. You'll need obviously the tools that you'll need if you're doing this yourself, and to make sure that your workmen who are coming along, make sure they have the correct tools. Notably a masonry drill. This is a slight issue because most people who come along with their drills don't realise that you're actually drilling into masonry when you're putting up curtains. One of the other important pieces of equipment that you should have with you when you are hanging curtains is silicone spray. And silicone spray basically just sprays onto the actual pole or track itself, and it just makes sure that all the different things that are actually on that track, the curtains, the actual rings on the track, slide much more easily than they would do without it. It's one of those things that you don't necessarily see all the time. People don't think about it, people don't talk about it, but silicone spray is something that all good curtain installers should have with them, and I kind of keep it in my arsenal of stuff to bring with me just in case anybody runs out, hasn't got any, or actually am asked on the spot, my curtains aren't moving, or they're not moving well enough, can you do something about it? So silicone spray is a good tool to have in your arsenal. So here we are at the first property of the day, and these are the curtains that are coming down, as you can see behind me here. Now these are very old school. As you can see, they're on just a very plain black steel pole, and this is something which I didn't put up. They've been here for a while, and these are just sort of like a very sort of they're a silk, but they're a very beautiful silk, but they're very old, and they are completely uninterlined, so it's obviously very thin. They've been here for a while. They're not blackout, obviously, and the issue with them is that because they're not blackout, they're not very insulating as well, and they don't really appear to move very well on this pole. They weren't designed to be fair, but this room is now being used very much as a guest room, so it makes sense to have curtains that can open and close. So I have my curtain rings. Anita is due to arrive at any moment with the curtains. They're all made. They've been ready for quite some time now. We just needed an installation date that was acceptable to the client. So she's happy that we're in, and we're going to get started. So just a quick reminder of the curtains on their tab heading here, just to see exactly how far they fall off the floor. As you can see, these ones are just sitting off the floor. It's a good idea to check with the clients exactly where they want them off the floor. Some prefer draped, some prefer a little bit off the floor. So take down the curtains, fold them inside out. I know the client wants to hang on to these, so these will just be folded and put away, or they'll be sent off for cleaning. As a general rule, when you're taking curtains down, it's always quite wise to actually have 2 of you to do it, because curtains can be very heavy. In this particular case, they're just silk. As I said, they're unlined. so they're not very heavy whatsoever. These ones should go out to be cleaned if the client wants to keep them. It's actually a really lovely fabric. You don't see that colour very often, people don't really decorate with it, but I quite like it. But she'll probably want to hang on to it because I know the client, so she'll probably want to hang on to them. But the first thing to do would be to get them cleaned. The next curtains that are going up are much thicker in consistency. The colours are different as well. They're actually made to go with this particular headboard here, which I put up quite some time ago now. It's a really good fabric. I think it's discontinued now. It's called Norwood by Romo, and it's a lovely fabric, but we wanted to brighten up this room. So here, as you see, we have the colour walls that we have here. This is a Faramball colour, it's French grey. And it's a lovely colour, but it can be quite deadening if you have too much grey. So we've added some pink to it, and the curtains will reflect that when they get here. And here are a couple of cushions which I've had made from the excess fabric, just as a little present gift to the client. So the curtains have arrived and they're all dressed, so they're held together in their pleats, as you can see here. We'll just lay them out across the bed, ready for hanging. And of course, once they're up, we're just going to check these for length just to see that they are right and correct, to see if we need to make any adjustments, which I think we will do for the pole. To see how they're hanging. Ernest, doing some stuff. Say hello, Ernest.
Hello, guys.
Right, I'm off downstairs whilst Ernest strips off. In the background, I'm off downstairs to see if I can find some paint which is going to match in with this room here, because we just need a few little touch-ups just where the curtains are going to be. So let's go and see what's going on. Going down to the storeroom now to pick up the paint. I have the keys. This is a padlock downstairs. So again, this is another building which has a storage depot down below it, which is great. Okay, this is Luce here, just sorting a few things out. Yes, I got the keys. Into the depths. This is what happens being a designer, you just go to all sorts of places. You see, this is what happens underneath the buildings. So here I am in the storeroom. So what happens is I've got all this paint which is down here. Now I know all of this paint because I'm the one that put it here. So all we need is the French grey, which that'll be fine, and even if it isn't, we only need a very, very tiny amount to just paint around where the brackets were, so that should be enough. Even if we need to water a little bit down, even if it's solidified a little bit, we can still use it, which is good, and the rest of it can stay here. Yes, all looking good. Also, things to keep here apart from these paint cans are tiles. You can see a Bizazza, and there are some other tiles there for the other bathrooms. So once the pole is up, we can hang the curtains properly up there. Sometimes I do this myself and sometimes Ernest does it for me. These are quite thick curtains, as you can see here. So it's a good idea to get somebody who's got a little bit of muscle power. So we're just going to check the length again, which is exactly where it should be, just off the floor. And we need this because the actual curtains themselves will be tied back, which I'll show you. We actually have these draped, because when you do pull them back on the actual tie backs, they look like this. So when you look at them, you can see that they actually just are held back a little bit more. So if you release them, they're a little bit longer, and if you put them back, they are a little bit off the floor, maybe about a sort of centimetre, 2 centimetres off. This client likes them off the floor. Another job done.
Have you finished? Or?
I think we're finished. Are we finished? Do I need to do anything else with this paint? What am I doing with this paint? This is your brush. Really? Okay, well I'm gonna...